This video will explain how to find the difference between integers. Remember, integers are whole numbers that are either positive or negative. Let's have a look at this example. The first thing is to say this problem properly. What's the difference between -7 and -2? Remember how we always use the second term first? So again, what's the difference between -7 and -2? Next, I use a number line. What's the difference between -7 and -2? If we make a jump, there are 5 spaces between it. Since we moved or we jumped to the right, our answer will be positive. So for the answer, what is the difference between -7 and -2? The answer is 5, or positive 5. Let's have a look at this example. What's the difference between 4 and -10? What's the difference between 4 and -10? Use your number line. So we have a 4 here, a -10, and I've also added a 0 here on the number line to help me out. The next thing I do is I jump from my 4 to my 0, which is 4 spaces, and then from my 0 to my -10, which is 10 spaces. So I have to add my 4 and my 10 together. And since we moved to the left, my answer is going to be negative. So the answer to what's the difference between 4 and -10 is going to be -14. Because again, I jumped 4 spaces from 4 to 0 and 10 spaces from 0 to -10. That's a total of 14 spaces to the left, so -14. Let's look at this example. What's the difference between 1 and -2? If I use my number line, what's the difference between 1 and -2? And be careful to put your numbers properly on the number line. We know our -2 is over here because the numbers to the left are smaller than the numbers to the right. If I put my 0 here as my benchmark, I had to jump 1 space to get to the 0, and then another 2 spaces to get to the -2. So altogether, I have jumped 3 spaces, and since I moved to the left, it's going to be a -3. So the difference between 1 and -2 is going to be a -3.